So today we are doing our Hallmark holiday Shakespeare sketching.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for this because this is the play that I was going to use if I was going to actually commit to doing NaNoWriMo, which I didn't do this year, and turn into a Hallmark holiday movie style thing. Because the play we're coming from is As You Like It. And it is very much like brief overview. It's about a couple of girls who like basically escape okay, so I don't know how to do brief summaries. So basically, these two girls, Celia and Rosalind, they're cousins, and Celia's dad, Rosalind's dad was the Duke, and then Celia's dad was like, "Rah, get out," and exiled him to the woods, and now he's the Duke. And then he exiles Rosalind for no reason, and Celia's like, "Well, I'm going with." So it's very like kind of like big city hustle bustle. Nothing's very nice or good, and they go into the woods
into the small country town filled with pine trees.
Exactly, to this like banquet of hospitality and goodness, and along the way there is love. And so this is the scene that we're doing. Is I figured for a holiday rom-com, the meet cute is, you know, the best place to start. All right, Ace. Girls escape their evil family's tyranny and find safety and eventually love and the true meaning of family. Yeah. It's better than I said it. So this is the play where All the World's a Stage comes from.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a fun kind of mopey character. So, but he's not in this. So the first time Rosalind meets big dumb Orlando, who talk about a himbo, is at a wrestling match.
Is he one of the competitors? That's not one of the words. What are the people competing? There we go. Okay.
So Orlando is part of a family, and his father just passed away, and his older brother is like, "You can't leave home." And he like hates him for some reason, is trying to get him murdered with wrestling. It's a lot.
Honestly, it's not far off from what a Hallmark movie premise would be. Be like, no, you're going to get murdered. This is how this is.
Exactly. And so little bits during the wrestling, right beforehand, Rosalind's like, "Hey, you sure you want to do this?" And Orlando's like, "No, like I didn't challenge him. He's just the one that they sent to me." Celia says, "Young gentleman, your spirits are too bold for your years." Basically, like it is not a fair fight. Charles the Wrestler is like the best wrestler.
It's but in his name.
Exactly. He is the wrestler. It's not Orlando the wrestler. It's just Orlando the ding dong. So basically, he's like, I don't have anything to live for. Rosalind says, "Do, young sir, your reputation shall not therefore be misprized. We will make it our suit to the Duke that the wrestling might not go forward." Orlando says, "I beseech you, punish me not with your hard thoughts, wherein I confess me much guilty to deny so fair and excellent ladies anything. But let your fair eyes and gentle wishes go with me to my trial, wherein, if I be foiled, there is but one shamed that was never gracious. If killed, but one dead that is willing to be so." He's just like real mopey and sad. Rosalind says, "The little strength that I have, I would it were with you, and mine too to eke out hers." There's like a lot of flirting happening here, pre-match flirting. Both Celia and Rosalind are looking at Orlando like he's a big hunk of wrestling meat. And then they actually wrestle, and he wins.
Oh.
He wins. He does it. So after the match is when the real magic happens. Celia says, "Gentle cousin, let us go thank him and encourage him." They go up. Celia says, "Okay, fare you well, fair gentlemen." Orlando says nothing to them in an aside, which means he's standing there talking to the audience and not the two girls in front of him. Can I not say thank you? My better parts are all thrown down, and that which were here stands up is but a contain, a mere lifeless block. He's just standing there like a dummy. He just like imagine like a Matthew McConaughey mouth hanging open.
Yep.
They're like, good job, good job. And he's like, but all of these things, this is my favorite thing about Shakespeare, is that like all these things are happening in his head that we get in an aside. So just imagine this on stage. He just like looks out of the audience. He's like, oh, why am I being so stupid right now? Why can't I say anything? Just say something, stupid Orlando. And they're just kind of like standing there. So what's fun about this is that Rosalind's next line says, he calls us back, which means Celia said, hey, good job. He stared at them long enough till they just walked away without saying anything else. And then he calls them back. Like, that's so, there's so much outside of the text in this scene. Because like the text is kind of whatever here, but it's all the in-between stuff that happens. And then, okay, so he calls us back. My pride fell with my fortunes. I'll ask him what he would. Did you call, sir? Sir, you have wrestled well and overthrown more than your enemies. The next line is, Celia, will you go, cuz? Have with you, very well. He says nothing again. Like, he calls them back, and then they're like, yeah, you did a great job. What do you want, buddy? And he's just like,
Zero game.
It's so good. When they finally leave, they just leave. He says nothing, they leave. And he says, what passion hangs these weights upon my tongue? I cannot speak to her, yet she urged conference. Oh, poor Orlando, thou art overthrown, or Charles or something weaker masters thee. Like, what an absolute, giving a chain. So before the match, I forgot to mention that she gives him a necklace.
Okay.
One of her necklaces. So she gives him a chain from her neck. Wear this for me, one out of suits with fortune that could give more, but that her hand lacks means. So like, I don't have much to give you. Oh no, that's right. That's right before. I'm bad at reading. It's after the match, right before the whole he says nothing bit. So, hey, great job. Hey, great job. Hey. Nothing. Nothing at all from him. What a perfect scene. Like, there's so much awkwardness in this, and they do eventually fall in love and, you know, have a whole thing where Rosalind is dressed as a boy and she's like, oh, but woo me pretending I'm your Rosalind. Lol. It'll be fun. And he's like, okay. It's a very weird play.
Is that like, I guess it's not one I ever hear about getting done very much. That was a terrible sentence, but not one of the more popular ones. Is it because it has some weirdness to it?
You know what? I truly don't know why it's not done more often. I think what it might be is that it's definitely a star vehicle for a Rosalind.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, it's an absolute ensemble of a play.
Okay.
You've got 4 couples who get married in the end. Excuse me. It's one of my favorite shows that I've ever directed. There's so much music in it. There's so much room for like celebration and joy and like contrast. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not done more. But it's a great comedy. Yeah, the last movie was made in 2006 and it's bad. Like it's not. Is that the Ace? Are you talking about the Kenneth Branagh one where he was like, I think Rosalind talks too much?
Oh boy.
Yeah, so he like edited. Yeah, it's not great. There's not a good movie version of it, which is bonkers to me. But there's not a great movie version of 12th Night either. There's one that's like fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just don't know why people don't make more like Shakespeare comedy blockbusters. Like, why are we doing another Hamlet when we could do an As You Like It and like really make a mark on the Shakespeare world? Is that
Yeah.
Santa? Is that a Santa beard?
It's kind of a Santa beard. You said himbo, and now all in my brain, I'm just thinking of him as just total beefcake. So he's got a man
Mm,
bun. He's gonna have a fairly trimmed beard. But he
nice.
could be Santa E.
No, it's perfect. I'm on the holiday kick,
Yep.
and it's such a full beard, and because it's white right now,
Yep.
obviously, because the paper is white. um, but yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what's hard about it to direct, and I think, you know what, Ace, I haven't seen that. Ace says I would say Laurence Olivier's version, as treated by J.M. Barrie, wasn't too bad. It had problems too. Um, I didn't know that Olivier did As You Like It at all. I didn't know that Laurence Olivier had a sense of humor enough to do a comedy.
So I was wondering, like, and again, I'm bringing this name up because literally right now it's the only name in my brain, because it's Sunday and my brain is broken. But I feel like, given the right guidance, I would love to see somebody like Judd Apatow, like an actual current ridiculous comedy writer, doing it because they understand the beats of it and like what works for current comedy. Like, okay, so don't make it prestigious as we talk about. Just make it funny because people are funny and they're weird when they talk to each other.
Yeah. So apparently it was the first Olivier movie, which is wild, in 1936. Thanks, Ace. I'll have to put it like on my list, even though it's probably bad. Um, just in general. But yeah, I would love to see a modern take on a comedy. And that's like one of the things that makes me so mad about stupid Joss Whedon is that he had the right idea. Get all
Yes.
your friends together in a house for a long weekend, and just film a Shakespeare movie. It's the dream. Like, it's
Yeah.
my literal dream is to have enough money where I can be like, hey, all of my talented friends, come hang out and do this movie. Now, Joss Whedon sucks. And also, it wasn't a good version of Much Ado. It just wasn't. Waste of Nathan Fillion. He was a great Dogberry. Sean Mayer, best Don John I've ever seen. There's a scene he ruins a wedding, and on the way out, as everyone's like freaking out, hero has died. It's the cupcake. Yeah.
It's perfect. No, I think so. I'll tell you, I have a soft spot for that one only because I love all of the actors in it. It's one of those where I'm just like, I was willing to forgive so much because Nathan Fillion is so good, because I'm blanking on her name, the woman who played Beatrice. Like, I liked these people, and I've seen them in enough other things where I'm just like, oh, it's Dollhouse and Firefly and all of these things. And yeah, so.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
But I'll say, as the of the novice, even after 2 years, if you could get me more Shakespeare like that, in that same idea, that was such a beautiful way to enter into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is no shade to the Leonardo DiCaprio, John Leguizamo, Romeo and Juliet, but I had to watch that in high school, and
Mhm.
it's not funny. Like, it's funny at times, but it's not overall funny. So it's hard to. I don't know. I wasn't in it for the romance, and a lot of it made me sad because I'm like, just talk to each other. If you would just talk to each other, this would all be fine. Just talk to each other. So, I was like,
Welcome
oh,
to every problem with a Shakespeare anything. Communication. None
just
of
talk to each
it. It's
other.
bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think that, I mean, here we go. So Kenneth Branagh is a bad person and also revitalized Shakespeare for film in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, misplace the resurgence on Lerman because it was part of the time where, it was becoming popular again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that really discredits all the work that Branagh did to get it back on the big screen. Branagh established Shakespeare films as a genre. And this is getting a lot into like some of the essays that I wrote in grad school. But I basically, like, one of them was like, he managed to take Henry V, Much Ado About Nothing, and Hamlet, and make them all feel like the same genre of movie. One's a
Mm-hmm.
history, one's a comedy, one's a tragedy. But because he uses the same composer, because he uses the same kind of like long shot, he made a Shakespeare film genre.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really like important in the late 90s, early aughts, to like give attention to big stars. He put Denzel Washington in a Shakespeare movie, and Keanu Reeves.
I was just thinking Keanu.
And that was before, well before Romeo plus Juliet. So it allowed for Romeo plus Juliet to happen. And because that happened, people started paying a lot more attention to Shakespeare on the screen. They started having a lot more fun with it. Let me right, I guess 4 years after that. Yeah, it was in 2000. So 4 years after Romeo plus Juliet, we got Hamlet 2000 with Ethan Hawke as Hamlet, and it wasn't as successful as Romeo plus Juliet, but like I think that's mostly because there were countless other Hamlet adaptations to consume. Excuse me. And really in Romeo and Juliet, we have Zeffirelli and we have Luhrmann. Those are like the two versions. For Hamlet, there are a bunch of different ones that people show and people use. All that to say, I don't even know if I like Romeo plus Juliet. I love what it did for Shakespeare and for accessibility and the guts to try something.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have Branagh paving that way, I don't think we get Romeo plus Juliet.
Yeah.
That's my
and I
real
think
tangent for today.
no, it's great. And I'm always curious about that because I'm coming to Shakespeare movies from such a different place. So the more accessible you can make it for my dumb brain, the better I'm off. But for however I've enjoyed Romeo plus Juliet, there were some really beautiful shots and beautiful moments. And it was, I think that, I don't want to say it's undervalued, but like the epic love story theme, I feel like steamrolled over a lot of the other parts where you're just like, no, you capitalized on real human moments, which is a really beautiful thing that Shakespeare does really well.
So. Yeah. Yep. When we remember that, Shakespeare can go a lot farther than when we don't. What are you making? Mike's making brownies.
Jealous.
I was like, what's happening in the kitchen? But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's really interesting. And I think that there's a lot. It's funny because after Romeo plus Juliet, Branagh tried to do some like crazy, bananas things with some of his movies, and it just doesn't work because he's not a good adapter of Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. He's a good director of Shakespeare when it's just like straight up Shakespeare. Just do like that straight up Shakespeare. Don't try to make Love's Labour's Lost a musical because it doesn't work. It did not work. But
spoilers, it didn't work.
Spoilers, it did not work. But I think it's because he is a language first kind of guy. And like you're saying, in order to make those adaptations, you need to be a human first.
Yes.
Kind of guy. So, I don't know. All that to say, I don't know why no one does As You Like It. Give me $1 billion, someone. Someone give me $1 billion and I'll do it. I'll
figure it out. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Um, what do rom-coms mean to you, Swan? Like, what's the vibe that comes to mind for you for those?
I am for for as much as I am a hopeless romantic Disney type of love, um, I think as an adult, the rom-coms that really actually land with me are the ones where there's friendship before there's just meet cute. Like that's I was like, no, if you can show me that there is humor and friendship between the two people who are falling in love, I will be in on it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just because they're getting together because they are the two most attractive people in the movie, it lands a little less for me.
Yeah.
And I don't watch a ton of them. I tend to go back and watch ones that I like. And I'm not usually one's really got to do something big to be like, oh, okay, that was actually really fun. So yeah, the holiday ones are funny because it's usually so ridiculous and the premises are funny and all of that. So they get a pass, but yeah, to actually like I will go back to probably the one I love the most is While You Were Sleeping.
Mm.
Cause who doesn't love Bill Pullman? But yeah, like that one because they're funny and they're friends and the obviously, weird that Swan's gonna attach to a movie about a crazy family. So strange. But like that part of it where I was just like, you get time to see them develop as people together. And I like that.
I think that's why I like enemies to lovers as a trope so much,
Yeah.
is because we are absolutely denying chemistry through the whole journey of that. In the same way of like While You Were Sleeping, there's no intention of romance.
Right. And they're
Like,
even like they butt heads a lot of the
yes.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Because that's that's not how you build a relationship with someone, but like conversation without the intention of romance is a really important foundation. And of course, like it goes both ways. Like there can be attraction and um hope of romance and still build that foundation, but like everything feels so much more honest in enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
I like
Yep.
it. I like that.
Yeah, I'm a big enemies. As you said that, I was like, oh yeah, because then I was like, oh, because it's Pride and Prejudice. Literally, like back to that. I was like, what do I always come back to? Yeah,
And
and
it's funny now that go ahead.
no, I was gonna say when they challenge each other, and not in a we're just being mean way, but just in a I'm throwing this down and I'm not letting you take any shit, and you're either gonna fold over and walk away, or you're going to come back at me. And
Yeah. I was gonna say there's a lot of that in As You Like It, actually, because she's
yeah,
dressed as a boy and she's already in love with him, but he doesn't know it's her. And he's already in love with her. He goes around the forest tacking up love poems to trees because he's so helplessly in love with this girl that he never spoke a word to because he couldn't.
oh my god,
And like so she meets him as a boy and she's like, I don't believe that you're in love. You say it, but I don't believe it. My uncle says that here are all the ways you can tell if someone's in love and you don't have any of these. And he's like, no, I like, how can I prove it or whatever? And she's like, woo me, like I'm your girl. And he's like, okay. And so they have these like honest conversations, or I guess more honest conversations. She's flat out lying to him about who she is, but it's whatever. So who is it, Andy McDowell in While You Were Sleeping? No, is it
it's Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I mean, same thing.
Yep.
Kind of.
Yep. Oh my gosh, though those it's so it's one of those. I know it's objectively not a good movie, but it has again. I'm like I'll still watch it. But it's Amy Adams and Matthew Good, and it's called Leap Year.
Oh, is that
And
the Irish one?
yep, and it's the again, because this is where like my fantasy brain part of it goes, because one, it is enemies to lovers, but it is also we're in this weird situation and we have to pretend we're a couple. And it's so overplayed, it's been so done, but I'm still like, yes, I'm in. Please do that. I would like to see that very much.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't get enough of that. I don't care if it's tropey.
Yep,
Tropes are successful for a reason. It's because people like them.
Yep, that one works for me. Also, again, I think it's very much those two managed to walk a very nice line of having chemistry with each other. So I'm willing to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's have you ever seen like obviously they exist, but like is there a movie that stands out to you where you're like so put off by the actors not having chemistry?
Yes. Failure to Launch with Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew McConaughey.
I thought you were going to say Matthew Broderick, and I was like, oh no.
Oh, no.
They didn't have chemistry?
Matthew Broderick has chemistry with everyone. With
well,
Nathan
I know, and they're
Lane
married.
was yeah.
With Nathan Lane. Yeah.
He's got chemistry with everybody. Yeah, so Zooey Deschanel, and I only ever remember him as Riley from the National Treasure series, but he was also the guy in The Hangover. They're the secondary couple in that. And they have so much more chemistry on screen with each other than anybody else. And like SJP and Matthew McConaughey are just boring in it. Like the parents, his parents that he's still living with are more, which is Kathy Bates and Coach Terry Crews. I can't remember his name. Oh, it's not Terry Crews. It's Terry somebody who's a football person. I'm showing my whole ass right now, but they have more chemistry. Like the two main characters are the least exciting thing of that whole movie. So
that's so frustrating.
Yeah. Terry Bradshaw. Thank you. I said Terry Crews, and I was
Terry
like,
Bradshaw is very different than Terry Crews.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I was like, nope, that's wrong. That's wrong. I became the teacher from who can't remember if they're a black actor or a white actor.
Yeah.
Fine.
Oh God, Abbott Elementary. I haven't caught up on this season. I'm only like 3 episodes in, but what a good show.
I've only watched a little bits of it on TikTok, but I know the one. Yeah, I know.
All right, Swan, I gotta give you a second alone. My contact is coming out of my eye. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna embarrass myself some more while you're gone, so you're good. Yeah, for some reason, Ace, every single time I think of Terry Bradshaw, I immediately forget his name. So I don't know. I have no excuse. It's just bad. This is why I don't enter trivia things, because I don't know what I'm doing. All right. I'm trying to draw her being cute, putting her hair back. Or what I will submit to you is perhaps it's all a clever ruse just to get a reaction out of chat. Let's go with that one. I do this for you, chat. Put myself on the altar of embarrassment just so that you can laugh. If you ever wonder why I try and get my in addition ideas sorted together first before we record, that's why. Because on the spot, my brain doesn't work.
I think it works great. I love the way your brain works.
Thank you. Some things are in there so clearly.
Who are these little guys?
Okay, so what I'm super excited about with the way that you describe this is, and it goes back to how we've talked about different staging and different things you can do because of how people read through. So what I want is to have, and this is pulling from a very anime and manga place, to have the stationary character unable to say anything, and then little cute versions of him yelling at him and floating around and doing all of the things, be like, why aren't you saying anything? And you can have all of that as the aside, where he's just, stuck there, unable to process anything. One, because it's fun to draw, and two, it's a fun, you see it in anime, you see it in manga, but it's a fun animation thing where all of a sudden you're just like, how can we do this as an aside that the other characters don't see? So yeah,
That's amazing. That's so cute.
I love this one. This one's my favorite. He's just so mad. What are you doing?
What a fun idea. Like, that's a really cool and unique. I like when things are totally unique to a art form, like to
Yes.
a medium.
Yes.
Like, you cannot do that in anything else besides
Nope.
animation. Like, it just doesn't work. You can't do that on stage.
No, and it would be so weird for the audience to have, other people like come out and like talk at him and be like, no, we're you, but yeah. So, and by having them be dressed the same, be appropriately attired, but be just a simplified version of them and very small, it kind of, at least for for my brain, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. And like, again, something that I literally never in my life would have thought about. That's cool. That's really, really fun. I also love how like stunned he looks. Like, his little eyebrows are just so uncomfortable.
He's having a lot of feelings in that moment. And I want to show that. Although I think, I'm trying to remember, because we've had one other big himbo type as a main, but like big dumb guy who's actually like a good guy and you're kind of rooting for, like, that's fun to draw. That's
Yeah, he is. I hate on As You Like It a lot. But in reality, like, it's a good play with good people in it. I always say that if anyone brings Duke Senior, Rosalind's father, to an argument on Protest Too Much, like, I'm done. I'm out.
which has
Can't beat
happened
him.
twice now.
A couple times, yeah. Yep. He's just such a good guy. When I directed this, I love adding shit that isn't there.
Hell yeah.
Just for people to like have a little context. So basically, this whole usurping of the dukedom happens before the play starts, and Orlando's dad dying and his brother like keeping him at home also starts before.
Okay.
Also happens before the play starts. So you've got all this context on these relationships that what you're supposed to know. Like, you're just supposed to know all of these complicated relationships when the play opens. People aren't gonna, they don't know. They're not that smart. They're not gonna listen to the dialogue and be like, oh, that's what happened a while ago. So I started the play with just Tallest Man on Earth song. So it's like this really like sad guitar song basically.
Okay.
And I did like a dumb show of the funeral of the Du Bois dad and then also the usurping of the Duke. So we had like, banners for Duke Senior ripped down and everything got in black and white, and like all the costumes were in blacks and whites and grays. And then eventually we went to the forest and all the costumes were colorful. And so like it was a way to be like, here are all of the characters that are important and why you need to follow their relationships.
You literally did a previously on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe that's why like a lot of the maybe this one is the only one that.
Well, okay, so I guess Winter's Tale has the big break in the middle and not in the.
Yeah.
Look at me. No one thinks about plays.
I know.
So proud.
Look at you go. But yeah, it might be the most context needed. And of course, yes, all of it is in the text. Otherwise, how would we know? But like,
Right.
it's so. I always feel like if you have to understand the words to know what's happening in a Shakespeare play, like the director's doing it wrong, you should be able to like speak gibberish, like actual gibberish, and still have a clear, coherent play. Because most people, it sounds like gibberish too.
Mm-hmm. It's a
But
weird. This is it's through no fault of my teachers in high school. It was
it's probably through fault of your teachers.
To be fair, the two English teachers I had when we did Shakespeare were very good. They still made us read different passages aloud going throughout the class, which is, it's its own frustrating thing. But I found and this was, I noticed it the most specifically with the Joss Whedon one, because when I first started it, I was like, man, I struggle with this language so much, yada, yada, yada. And you give me about a half an hour and it starts to get in there. I just have to get warmed up into it, and then it really starts to click. And I just don't think I was ever able to quite get it to click in school because we didn't have that time. You have to get through this chunk, and we weren't ever performing any of them. We were just reading aloud, and yeah, it's a very tough way if the text just doesn't land with you.
Yeah. It is. It's very difficult. I was lucky in high school because I had like a series of 3 different teachers for the first act of Macbeth, and every teacher just restarted it. So now I had act 1 of Macbeth 3 times, and I was like, oh, well, I get it now. But it's exposure and it's repetition. And that's why a lot of times, like when teaching Shakespeare, I'll show the movie first. So that people know what to expect. We'll watch like an act of the movie essentially, and then we'll read through it so that we can see kind of you already know what's happening. You already know the relationships between the characters, so you can bring a little bit of that like to an informed reading of the text rather than a blank slate reading. Because to expect anyone, kids, adults, whoever, to just like pick it up. I mean, there are people that I've worked with who have been doing Shakespeare for years, if not decades, who can't cold read.
Yeah. Which is so encouraging. And it helps to hear.
Yeah. And it's like, it's interesting because you would think that repetition would give you that like skill, like practice but if you're not practicing cold reading, you don't have it.
Right.
And so I think that's something that intimidates a lot of people, that they don't realize that most Shakespeare actors also don't know what's happening until they like spend time with it.
Right. And something I have been so grateful to you in, especially all of this, is we talk about different ways that a scene could be played. We talk about different ways that this one piece of text could be interpreted. And that is very hard to get on a first read or on a, being dropped into the scene. And if you're already struggling with the language, then, having any idea of the context behind it or the depth of it can be so difficult.
Yeah. Which is why I think it's fun that we've kind of transitioned to general scenes rather than like single speeches. Because there's so much more like I said at the start of this, the words really don't matter that much. Which is a punishable offense for a Shakespearean to say, I think.
Well, and two, again, it's a part of the knowing that it's meant to be performed, that so many of the people who would be absorbing this material would not be reading it. Like that was something that I think I was told in school, but I don't think it ever truly set into my brain until I got into it more, where I was like, no, this was to just get the talented actors going, and then they would bring to life, what he wrote. So
yeah. Yep. I was saying on my TikTok the other day that I don't think directing and Shakespeare directing are interchangeable skills. And I think it's the same with like any kind of acting. I think acting and Shakespeare acting are more interchangeable, but if you don't have a director who knows, like I don't know, like I'm trying not to say it in a gatekeepy way because Mike made fun of me when I first posted it for gatekeeping, and I know he was joking, but like I don't ever want to be gatekeepy about Shakespeare. Some of the best Shakespeare actors that I've worked with have been not Shakespeare actors, like some of the
Yeah.
best actors in Shakespeare. But I think, so that's what I'm trying to say, Mike, is that if there's a good Shakespeare director, like if the director is, if the, I think that a non-Shakespeare actor struggles if the director also doesn't know what they're doing. So a lot
Yes.
of times you have non-Shakespeare directors and non-Shakespeare actors. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, maybe. But I think that a lot of times my problem with watching Shakespeare is that the actors don't know what they're doing because they didn't have someone who like explained it to them. So I don't think it's a different skill for actors. Like I think it's more of a transferable skill, but only if the director has that Shakespeare skill. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I honestly, all the world's a stage. That doesn't mean some actors should. I'd agree with that. Hot
So
take.
I'll relate it to to what I can with dance. So there's so many different styles of dance that you can be good at. And to take someone who is an incredible jazz or hip hop dancer and put them into a position where the director has only ever directed ballet and expect them to do ballet and be great at it, they're still a great dancer. They'll do a good job. But if you have a director who's like, okay, let's utilize your skills, and while it's still going to be ballet, here's how we can bring your creative energy to it. And I understand how to make that work. And maybe we break away from the very strict confines of what ballet can be and open it up to a little bit more contemporary, a little bit more modern, and play with it that way. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think, and that's again, it's on, you can go out there and you can do the exact steps. You can go out there and do the exact read. But if you're given that like freedom to play with the understanding of it, like, okay, here's what I want in this scene. I want you to make me sad with your dance. Okay, that gives me a direction to go. Where if it's I want you to go out and do, Tombe Pas de Bourrée, Glissade Grand Jeté, then I'm like, okay, I can do that, but that's just steps. That's not anything. So
Yeah, and I think that really actually hits exactly the
great, getting there.
no, it's exactly it. Like you can go out there and say to be or not to be, that is the question. And then someone goes out and says that those words, or you can say, hey, uh think about the time that you've not wanted to be alive anymore. And that's gonna like that's speech. So
Yeah.
it's not about the words, it's not about the steps. It's not about the technique or the technical. So I guess it's a misspeak when I say that. What do you mean by that, Mike? That I don't think Shakes is a different level.
It's so annoying to type all this.
Hi.
Basically, hey Swan, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I think Shakespeare is the same as any other rom-com. It's just a good one. And so like if you're good at a good rom-com, then you should be good at it, whether it's Shakespearean or whether it's influenced by Shakespeare.
No, I get what you're saying in that, and like I just
Like he's a good writer and he hit the points and he did the thing. And like
No, I know, but what I'm trying to say is like I feel like most of the problem with Shakespeare productions is that the director doesn't know how to direct Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to direct Shakespeare, you can't take a Shakespeare actor or a non-Shakespeare actor and make a good play.
Oh yeah, I was referring to Ace's comment.
Oh, I didn't even
about-
see.
Yeah, soccer.
Oh, I didn't even see that comment. I thought we were still on actors, and I was like, I misspoke there. Like that's because some of the best actors that I've worked with are non-Shakespearean actors, but I think to give myself credit, it's because I know how to direct Shakespeare.
Yes.
And like giving them the space to be their best acting selves. Yeah, okay. So yeah, let me read this comment because I totally missed it. Just because a football player is good at the MLS level, that doesn't mean they should be in the World Cup. Same thing with coaches. They can coach a great MLS team. MLS level doesn't mean they should be at the World Cup level. Oh, I see. So I would say I also don't agree with that because I don't think it's a different level. I think it's coaching. I don't know if there are different kinds of soccer. 4-on-4 versus a starting 11. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that translates to, but a different, yeah, like Mike says, a different team system rather than the level. Because, like, could I direct at the Globe? Yes. Should some people who have directed at like the RSC or the Globe necessarily? Should people who have Hollywood budgets, like, I'm just going to come at you, Joel Coen, incredible director. The Coen brothers have made some incredible films. He made a shit Shakespeare movie. Like an unbearably bad Shakespeare movie.
Which
because he's
movie
not
was
a
that?
Shakespeare director. Macbeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Denzel Macbeth. Yeah, that's a perfect. We've come full circle. Denzel is not a classic Shakespeare actor. When he was directed by a Shakespeare director, Kenneth Branagh, he was incredible. When he was directed by someone who didn't know what the hell he was doing, he was not good. That doesn't make Denzel a bad actor. It just means that the director didn't know what they were doing with it.
Can I relate to the one bit of that I'm very, very passionate about?
Please, anything to make me shut up.
No, I love this. And because it's something that's near and dear to my heart, you talk about the direction of the Star Wars prequels. Whereas, okay, so these are talented actors, genuinely. You have enough people on screen who have been heart-wrenching or lovable or any of these multitude of other things in other pieces. And you consistently have every single person who's acting on that screen be the most cardboard and unbelievable version of a character. And it's because you didn't have great direction. The fact that you could take the exact same scenario and essentially quote unquote the same characters in the animated television version of it and have better direction and have me be so invested in galactic politics. That's not just because the animation is that great. Like it was one of those where it's like, no, I had never so clearly seen the effect of bad direction in a way that it played out. Cause I was just like, Ewan McGregor is a great actor. Liam Neeson is a great actor. Natalie Portman is a great actor.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that everybody just had a bad day for 3 full movies.
Right. And I feel like to bring it back to rom-coms as well, you have to have a director who knows how to direct a holiday rom-com, or a whatever Hallmark style rom-com. Like there are people who lean into it, and know how to balance the fact that they know it's high drama, but like that it's overly dramatic. They know that it's silly.
Yep.
But they're willing to treat it with sincerity.
That's it. The sincerity is the thing. Because I was like, no, there's some that I've watched where I'm like, I'm pretty sure the director hated this. Like they hated the premise of this, which you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Of course it's ridiculous. So?
Yes, yeah, and people love it. And I imagine, Swan, it's probably like that in animation too. Like an art director for an anime style versus a Disney style animation. Like they're two completely different directing challenges.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yep.
This is
Well, and it's the to get on my own personal soapbox, we're hitting two of the things that I'm passionate about, Star Wars and animation. It is the unfortunate, still prevalent fact that people think that comics and animated movies are just for kids. And if you go into it, which astounds me to this day, because Disney and Pixar have been doing what Disney and Pixar have been doing for the last 22 years, plus all of it before, but most recently, plus, the very R-rated comic book surge of the 90s, like, we've gotten to the point now where this media has been around for so long. Like, you've got Superman debuting in the 30s, and you're telling me that almost 100 years later, I still have to keep telling people that this isn't just goofy stuff for kids and that these stories are deep and emotional and impactful, and
it's
it's
almost the opposite. It's almost the exact opposite problem of Shakespeare, isn't it?
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Like, as you were describing it, I was like, this is a total inverse of what I have to explain, that it's not just for pretentious buttholes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, honest to God, it is exactly the inverse of that. Oh, amazing.
Well, and I did an episode about Marvel movies, and we kind of talked about how they're very similar because they're just, at the heart, they're about people and relationships. All of the Marvel movies are, yes, they're about superheroes. Yes, they're flashy and CGI and magic and whatever. But like, at their core, the reason the Marvel movies are successful is because they are about people.
Mm-hmm.
Which, fun fact, one of the reasons I think people don't like the first Thor as much as maybe some of the other movies
Kenneth Branagh
is because Kenneth Branagh is a Shakespeare director, and he directed a Shakespearean Marvel movie, and people didn't like that. I loved it, obviously.
I liked it, and I was like, I'm sorry, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna tell me that Norse mythology of Thor and Loki isn't the most convoluted Shakespeare shit there is?
But
Why
at the core,
wouldn't you?
it's about their brotherly relationship.
I'm sorry, future skeleton. I'll try and fix it. Do you want me to make you a mod? Then you could fix it.
I'm gonna say buttholes on air just to get back at it. Just to counter. Oh, I already said it? Yeah. That makes sense. But yeah, so like a lot of that is, I think that it's just funny to see how some niches, it really are just another skill set. Like, it's not just, it's less transferable from the directing space. But you look at another perfect example, Tom Hiddleston, classically trained Shakespearean actor. Brilliant in everything, because like when he has good direction, he was an amazing Hal in the Hollow Crown series. He's an amazing Loki. Like, when you focus on being a person rather than these wild characters you're playing, like, that's when it's successful.
And honestly, I know that it wasn't universally enjoyed by a lot of people, but I genuinely enjoyed the Loki series because Tom Hiddleston takes the character seriously and brings sincerity to Loki. Like, I don't think you get that same level of impact when he looks genuinely sad, or when even, Chris Hemsworth, who I don't count as having similar emotional depth to it, he looks genuinely brokenhearted when he gets betrayed. Like, there are moments between these two characters that are very heavy because they're both taking it seriously, and bringing that level to it. And I think, honestly, Tom Hiddleston elevates Chris when they are in a scene together because of his training, because of that aspect.
Yeah. It's just interesting to think about, isn't it?
It is.
I'm thinking about like rom-coms in general and actors who've done rom-coms, like, traditionally, I don't know, serious actors or whatever who've done rom-coms, and it's all about that sincerity. It's all about like them being real people to you, whether they're being ridiculous on the screen or not. Like, that's what makes them successful. And that's why some of the ones that are really, really good are really, really good. And the ones that aren't are hilariously bad.
I love it when it looks like the actors themselves are having fun.
It's my favorite thing in movies. When I'm like, God, they must have been having so much fun doing this. Have you watched, I shouldn't ask you this. You haven't watched anything.
You are not wrong, but you can ask. It's always a fun question.
Spirited?
No.
It's Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. It just came out this year.
Oh, okay.
It's a musical Christmas movie. It's a twist on A Christmas Carol. It's really fun.
I don't know anything about, like, not just haven't watched this. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I knew a bit about it before it came out because there's a skating scene in it. So of course everyone I know was in it.
Well, I have a very serious, very real question to ask about this. Is Josh Groban in it?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, so see, that's why I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of people being buttholes. It wasn't stupid. It was so bad. I didn't like it because it wasn't the movie. Then watch the movie. Or I didn't like it because it wasn't the musical. Then watch a bootleg of the musical. Like, it doesn't have to be the whole thing. It was a cool combination. They were just trying to do something different. You would have really loved. They did interpretive dances or lyrical dances for the Rose. And basically, like, the first one was, 10 pedals or whatever, 10 dancers. And then, like, as the dances kept coming through, it was like 5 dancers and then 3 dancers at the end or whatever.
So creative. Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Really fun and interesting and cool. The one thing that I don't know why they weren't singing live in the special, or if they weren't, or if like the sync was off. That was weird to me. But other than that, Josh Groban's great. Joshua Henry, hottest Gaston ever. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
That's when Bella's like, oh, you might be dumb, but wow.
It's like, am I looking for a project? Like,
I can change him. Right?
I will say, just from the little bits I saw of that, genuinely way more excited about that and something different than watching. Nothing against Emma Watson, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. It's the Aladdin syndrome. It's the, I don't need you to make a live action movie exactly like the animated movie that I already love.
Yeah. And like, I liked Beauty and the Beast. I thought it was unfair. I thought it was unfair to Emma Watson to put her in a movie with Audra McDonald and like Josh Groban, basically.
Yeah.
Like it was a little unfair to put her in a singing movie against talent like the people that were in that movie who weren't Emma Watson.
Right.
That's just like that's a little mean. Even though she's a perfect Belle. And yeah, I liked it. It was fine. I never watched Aladdin. We didn't see that one. Just if I want to watch the movie, I'll watch the movie or I'll listen to the musical or whatever. But yeah, I admire the recreation of nostalgia, trying to capture that. But
Yes. And
try something new and different.
my working through my just immediate anger, nerd rage type thing, which happens because I'm human. But I tried to look at this as it was fun text that made really fun characters. And much like the things we've talked about today, it's giving an opportunity to somebody else to embody that character and maybe give it a different spin. I almost wish that was more of what it was advertised as. Like,
Yeah.
it could be reimagining. It could be somebody else's version. Like, it's tough with something like Aladdin because while it is a mishmash of many different old history tales and stuff like that, the only known version is the Disney one. So to reimagine that is very difficult because, I guess that's not the only one, but
The most popular American adaptation of Aladdin.
yeah, like if
Is
you were
certainly
going
Disney.
to go into the Scheherazade tales and pull out more of the specific, like that's a totally different thing. But if you're just going beat for beat with what this other movie already did, it's less exciting to me.
Yeah.
But
Did just remind me, this conversation, of in college, man, Anthony and I were gonna be so famous if you asked us in college. One of the movies that we were writing was a like Tim Burton style Beauty and the Beast adaptation, like a real dark, twisted. I don't even remember like much about it besides that pitch, because we have, between the two of us, 10 million ideas, zero follow through. Like literally the two of us together could not have less commitment to the ideas that we have.
that's so funny to me.
But yeah, we were gonna write a new Beauty and the Beast. It's gonna be great. Just trust me. You can't see any of it because nothing exists of it. I think we have like an opening shot. Like that's it. Pretty sure it was just called Beast. I don't know. We were real dramatic.
I mean, again, I would watch that over Beastly, which was a movie that was made. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, you should look it up. I would be so curious. Yep. For your Twitter. Oh no, I can't think of the word. What's it? Watching through and live tweeting Twitter reactions.
Vanessa Hudgens.
Talk about two actors who have no chemistry together.
Attractive, wealthy, arrogant. Why is he giving like TED Talks in high school?
Okay, now I just really want you to watch this movie.
I also want to watch this movie. Also, what, like his beast, like his tattoos?
Yeah,
his
ever so slight, tattoo
like X-ray tattoos.
Yeah, I was like,
I know this is really great content watching me watch the trailer, but
that's okay. They're watching me draw.
Neil Patrick Harris.
It's bonkers. It is absolutely bonkers.
We really should do an NADD watch through. Is it on watch on Prime Video? Yeah,
we could do it. Yes.
You went to regular school?
This is amazing.
Oh boy, wait, is Neil Patrick Harris blind?
Yep.
I've seen worse. She's very into roses. Oh my god, I can't wait to watch this.
So good. So good.
Oh, he's tucking her in. I might have a shot if I have more time. This is great. This is a bop. Does he have like superpowers or something? Ugly.
I think so. I can't remember.
Oh my god, that looks great. It looks amazing. Also, like the tagline, a modern day take on Beauty and the Beast tale where a New York teen is transformed into a hideous monster in order to find true love. I guess that makes sense. Like, in order to find true love. True is the
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, this looks so bad. I like Pettifer. I feel like I feel like he's done things.
So he was the it boy for a while with like, was it I Am Number 4 or something like that? And then like I think he's not great in real life and kind of fell off. I think he was one of those kind of like really sexy stars who got into a lot of trouble.
Yikes.
But
Yikes-a-roni. Mary-Kate Olsen? Dakota Johnson.
oh yeah. Mary-Kate Olsen in it it's unexpected. That's all I'm gonna say. It's unexpected.
Huh. I'm gonna say something controversial.
Ooh. Well, that'll be a first for today in this this podcast and stream that we do.
I think that Dakota Johnson is one of the most boring and least interesting actors I've ever seen.
Oh, is that not just generally accepted? I thought that was.
I feel like people love her.
I don't want to say I can't stand her. I just very actively choose not to watch anything she's in because she bores me to tears.
She's so boring.
Yeah.
She was in the reason I say that is because she was in an adaptation of Cymbeline, the one film adaptation of Cymbeline that exists.
Who is she in
Ethan
Cymbeline?
Hawke. She's Imogen. And she's so boring. Like, ugh. It's just like have any personality. Do anything. Have any bit of any ounce of anything in your body. Please. While you're doing a thing. It's too much to ask. What are we contemplating?
I'm contemplating my final how I want to lay out the bottom half of this. Also, I was having too much freaking fun drawing these two cousins talking to each other because that's absolutely my favorite thing to draw. So I am also completely leaning into like the very specific styling that these movies always have. So you've got the one girl who has the super cute leather jacket, and because she is then the essential sidekick in this, you've got her cousin having her hair pulled up and she's in a big billowy sweater because she's not the main love interest, so she doesn't have the long flowy hair that's down in the leather jacket. This is how you know. I'm having so much freaking fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
I feel like do they have earmuffs on in that last?
God, they should. We could give them earmuffs. That'd be really funny. Yeah. Also, like I just imagine that it is like wrestling today. Like this is just a thing that we do here in amongst the pine trees. So
wrestling in the woods.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. It's just kind of a perfect. It's like a perfect setting. It's a perfect meet cute. It's a perfect for a modern adaptation of Shakespeare. It like could not be easier to make these characters fit the tropes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because Orlando has like he's a servant, but there's like old man who like travels along with him as his like sidekick. Slash like he was like a butler or whatever and decided to like run away with Orlando into the woods. So I was trying to think that if he had a sidekick too, but yeah, he does.
That could be the magical Santa reveal that you have to have, where he just turns to camera and he winks.
But there are so many Santas in this play. Because when they get into the woods, like Rosalind's dad could be Santa. Because he's like taking care of everyone in the woods. And then there's this old shepherd called Corin. And he could be Santa because he has all this like shepherd wisdom. And then there's the clown Touchstone, and he could be Santa. He's probably the least the least Santa-y of them.
He's the
a little weird.
in the Santa Claus. He's the head elf.
Yeah, David Krumholtz.
Yes.
I was obsessed with David Krumholtz for a long
I
time.
love him. He's just wonderful.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there are just so many good tropey characters in this play. Who else is there? There's there's a lion in this play. So that's the other thing that's fun is that it's a massive redemption play.
Okay.
We've got technically the bad guys are Duke Frederick, Celia's dad, the uncle that usurped power or whatever. And then we've got Oliver, Orlando's older brother, who like doesn't want him to be alive for whatever weird reason. And in the end, so a lot of this is again when the text like you really got to dig into it. So Orlando is like, "Oh, I fought a lion or whatever and I'm dying but I'll live. It's fine." And then Oliver comes in and is like, "Oh, what? It's been a while since I've read this. Someone fights a lion. It might be Oliver. Oliver fought a lion. Someone fought a lion. Saving his brother. Like the brothers got into a fight with a lion. I don't know. It's been a while.
So those would be the ones, and this is the like the tongue in cheek when they make an aside to something where you're just like, it would be like they almost got into an accident in a car or something like that, and the car had like a lion painted on it, or
Yes.
the mascot of the car, the brand was a lion. Like that's what like give me all of
Yes.
these ways. Just
That's
eat it up.
exactly yes. So good. Yeah, so and then Oliver and Celia end up together. Like randomly. And everyone kind of glosses over it in performance because Oliver has one speech where he interacts with Celia and then they're like in love. And I don't know why more directors don't like take advantage of that speech.
Yeah.
And like whatever you've decided to direct Celia's energy as through the play, have it mimic that exactly. Like our Celia was like super bubbly and over the top and like very just like wholesome and excitable and good. And so Oliver came in and was doing this like whole like pantomime essentially like adaptation of the interaction with the lion. He's like wrestling himself on the ground and whatever to match the energy of Celia so that there was like any kind of chemistry or relationship budding for her to be like, "Oh, he's a good guy now." And then Duke Frederick also it feels really bad and is really sorry and comes back in and reunites with his brother. I don't actually know. I had them hug at the end. He came back in. I don't actually know if he reappears in the play. I think they might just say like he goes off to like some monastery to pray about being bad or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, that's basically the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much the same. But you've got these two characters. Nobody in this play is a bad guy at the end.
I really like that.
Right? Like that's wonderful.
Like the more I hear about this play, the more again, now I'm sad because there's no movies to get into about it, but I was like, I just want more of this.
The more I talk about this play, the more I convince myself I like it. I don't know why for a long time I was like very like on As You Like It. But it's really good. Like it's really like it's a wholesome piece.
Yes. It feels a lot more wholesome than many of the other ones.
Yeah. There's no real love triangle. There's like one little love triangle where this like shepherd boy, William, is in love with a shepherd girl. And I guess there are two love triangles. There are a couple love triangles, but like overall, they're fine. They're not really like, they're like very one-sided triangles, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like two parties are interested, but the other one is like, no, I have no dog in this fight. Please leave me alone. Lines? Oh, one's two-sided triangle. Angles. One-sided, yeah. One side. I don't know. No, It is
I knew
Sunday
what she
afternoon.
meant.
Geometry is not like part of this. This is not sketching Shakespeare math edition. This is not sketching geometry.
Not sketching geometry. Please let it not be sketching geometry.
But yeah, it's fun.
Well, I think it is the thing of so many love interactions that are touted as triangles are not triangles because the two boys don't love each other. They both love the girl, and that's not a triangle, it's just an angle. So I think we're taking a little bit of leeway with the text on that.
That's a great point.
Good, got him.
Yeah, love angles.
Love angle. Now that needs to be a rom-com.
Yeah. Although I do want an actual love triangle. Where
like oh good.
Like boys in love with girl is in love with boy is in love with boy. Like, I've never seen Cruel Intentions.
Yes. Minus the weird incest thing, because kind of, but yeah.
Someone's daring to live in our neighborhood. No, fine.
It's all right.
How dare they?
How dare?
Hey. Yeah.
Heroes has a lot of feelings.
Hero does have a lot of feeling on love triangles and Cruel Intentions. So yeah, I haven't seen Cruel Intentions, so I can't speak much to that.
So as much as I do genuinely want to watch Beastly, Cruel Intentions is so much of its very specific time that I don't know how elements of it hold up, but because it was before they got married, it's Reese Witherspoon and Ryan Felipe, however you say his name. So they have that genuine chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And so it very much lives in the 10 Things I Hate About You 90s era of movies. But Buffy is in it. She's amazing. Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh.
She's the bad guy, but she's one of my favorite parts of it because she's just so composed and cruel. And especially when you are coming off of watching Buffy where she's very not that, she does a great job. But yeah, it's Selma Blair is in it. It's
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that sounds good. And if it's got a love triangle, actual triangle in it, even better.
Yeah. I think oh shoot, I had a thing where we were talking about it earlier. I almost feel like 12th Night gets close inadvertently because you have all of the cross-dressing where it's kind of a triangle, but it's more just...
No, it is. It actually is because Orsino is in love with Olivia, who's in love with Viola / Cesario, who's in love with Orsino.
Yeah.
All right.
We get there.
We did it. That's exciting. We've hit it. Oh my goodness. There's a lot less twin stuff. We've got the whole princess switch thing, but I feel like there should be more twin rom-coms.
Oh gosh.
Twin based.
I watched Parent Trap and It Takes Two so much as a child.
Yeah. Yeah, I really thought misidentifying twins was going to be a bigger deal in the world.
It was like quicksand. I imagined quicksand was going to be so much more of an issue for me than it's ever been.
Yeah. Yeah, raise your hand if you've never thought about grabbing a branch and relaxing to get out of quicksand. You know how to do it. Every child of the 90s knows how to survive quicksand.
Yep. We were ready. We were trained and ready for it.
What was the film obsession with quicksand?
I don't know. Also, I swear, the more I talk about media from the 90s and early 2000s, I was like, what were they doing to us? No wonder we're all so friggin' weird. Oh my God.
That is true. I mean, I think same can be said about any decade, like
I'm
any
sure.
generation of TV and whatever. And that's the thing about nostalgia too, right? Is that so much of things like Buffy. I watched Buffy just a couple years ago, like as an adult, and it holds up. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
But it's not substance. It's
Especially
a
at the
Monster of Week
beginning.
show.
Yeah. No, you watch those first ones and like it takes a while to feel something more for these characters.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of like our age people look down on the CW style shows when like it's the same show.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Goddamn, Future Skeleton.
Okay. Metaphor for being out of control, subject to factors in your environment with more power than you have, unbalancing you, etc. Honestly, if that doesn't okay, so then I feel like they maybe should have taught us how to escape that rather than literal quicksand, because like I could use that. I could use a tool to there's no what's my rope? What's my tree branch? I can't relax. You want me to just relax? You want me to just relax in real life? Like,
That might be my favorite because it's so real. Also, just living more into the Tony and Mike side of In Addition and the Swan and Steph side of In Addition. We're like, you want me to just relax and go with this? What?
also, I mean, like that was the whole thing. They were teaching us that we need to just freaking relax and we'll get out of the quicksand. Don't shrug your shoulders at me. Wow.
It's so good.
Wow. I don't know how to feel about all of this. Certainly not relaxed. But like, what if that's what I'm supposed to if I'm taking a breath and finding a lifeline to help you out of a bad situation? Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's not a literal, like if it's a metaphor, then the tools to escape are also metaphors for how we can. Oh boy. What if instead the remedy is watching Beastly on Amazon Prime?
But what if?
Huh. Well, this has been enlightening.
We went on a journey today.
You might not have meant to, Mike, but you certainly did shatter my sense of reality in 2022 on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, you hit me hard today, Mike.
Yeah.
I was unprepared for that.
I mean, it makes total sense. Makes total sense. And I don't like it. What if the answer really is just relaxing? How do you do that? This is why Tony and Mike have never been caught in quicksand. Also, I do think about that sometimes. Like, would I actually be able to like relax if I were in quicksand? Because you watch it's the same as like watching any sort of reality TV show, like a Survivor where they do challenges or stuff like that, and you're like, well, duh, like just do the thing better. But when you're in those high adrenaline situations, it's hard to just do the thing.
So Vineyard Warrior is a huge Survivor fan. So I have been watching along with him in this current season. I think it's the current
We
season.
haven't finished yet.
But they brought back a challenge, which is one that they do consistently, it sounds like. And so, yeah. And it's one of those where I'm just like, no, I don't think I could do that. And then some of the other ones are I'm like, also, it's like for how falling apart my body is, I'm like, I couldn't survive 10 days alone on the island, let alone 25. So
they used to do in early Survivor. They used to do challenges where you would just stand. Like you would touch the pole and stand for an hour or 3 hours or 7 hours or however long the challenge lasted or whatever. And I'm like, I couldn't get through 90 minutes of standing this morning during the World Cup. A chair opened up and I was like, thank God, 25 minutes in, because my body was hurting. Like,
Yep.
painfully.
Yep. Yeah. No. It's
You
some of
you
them.
can tout $1 million in my face all day long. Doesn't mean I can stand up.
Nope. It doesn't make this body any better.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you saw that, did you see the comeback challenge where the girl like couldn't get across the beam and then ended up
Yes. That was
top survivor moment?
amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely
No,
iconic.
that was I was feeling things during that. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. This has
No,
been a really, really good season so far.
this has been kind of a funny thing where it's I always see the TikToks making fun of it, but it's the reverse of like the wife is watching some, we'll say rom-com type thing, and the husband kind of just stands at the edge of the thing, like kind of watching, and then slowly moves to the couch. Then slowly, this has been me with Survivor, where he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna pop it on." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna finish up in the kitchen." Then I'm like peeking around. I was like, "Oh, but what are they doing now? Like, wait, oh no, is he gonna betray them? Do you think?" And I'm just flat out sitting on the couch. I'm like, I need to know.
Yeah. It's funny how shows like that work.
Get you. Although, can I tell you, and I'm sure this is probably not a popular thought, but I really, really have frustration and anger towards the host. I want bad things for him. He bothers me.
Why?
I just.
Why do you hate Jeff so much? What's your beef with Jeff?
I know. Future Skeleton, I know. I think he's smug. His clothes are too clean, which just seems.
He's not the survivor.
But and he's that amount of like saucy, and like he's right there standing next to him, maybe like, "Oh boy, Mark isn't solving the puzzle. Mark is an idiot. Boy, he can't figure out how puzzles work." And I'm just like, get out of here.
No, I love Jeff. And I do think that is a fair assessment if you haven't watched from the beginning.
100%. I'm
definitely tuning in now to not have seen the like 20-year evolution of Jeff, which granted I'm still like in the middle of. Yeah, I think seeing it is seeing what he's done in 20-25 years or whatever. It's not something to kind of just jump in on as a personality. Yes. The way that he has made Survivor his show is really like a cool thing that he's done. Same with Phil on Amazing Race.
Okay.
But we love Phil. Except when he says horses. He says horses really weird. I don't know. He's like he's New Zealand. He's from New Zealand, but like doesn't have a full New Zealand accent. It's like it comes out on some words more than others.
Okay.
Like whore. I don't even know how he says it.
It's like Benedict Cumberbatch doing the penguins.
Yeah, penguin.
Penguins.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
All right. Yeah. So I think I am very much of I get frustrated with the hosts who are trolls because I'm just like, seriously? And I think, again, it's that much more of a stark contrast of these poor people who are sunburned and starving. And he's like, your shoes have no scuffs on them. You had to at least walk across the grass to get here. How did you manage that? But yeah, you built up with him. I think that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's really funny. And like totally makes sense jumping in. That's so fun. All right, Swan, how are we doing?
We're good. I think the sketching took me a little bit longer on this one, but I really, really, really like this page.
Can we zoom into the sequence of it?
We absolutely can. I apologize because some of them are still very much my rough sketches, but
how dare you?
I know. Let me move my face.
Does it say here today?
Wrestle today. And I got little garlands and everything. Yeah. So wanted to have you kind of getting the silhouette of Orlando up in the wrestling ring, and then you've got the cousins. Click on the wrong stuff. Looking at it, and one cousin being skeptical and pointing out stuff, and the other cousin being not skeptical but already having some feelings. And I just love this that moment where the friend is like, I see what's happening.
Uh-huh. And like the blush on Rosalind's
Mhm.
face.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, she's going full squiggle. So then we've got so you'll have Celia dragging Rosalind over as he's dismounting, and then here's, her giving him the necklace and him being really great at responding to it, and then you land on the end
Oh
of
my
him just
God.
holding it and having head empty, no thoughts. Just
Oh
vibes.
my gosh. Did you move around those little guys?
I did.
You
Yep.
just swooped them around?
Yep.
Digital art is crazy.
Digital art is magic.
Like, you can just do that. You can just pick them up and
I
put
can
them over here.
lasso them and take them wherever I want. Yep. I flipped him. He was facing one way and I flipped him the other. What I've been finding, and this is a cool evolution of just this concept as a whole, is while you're explaining to me the setting and everything is when I'm doing like my character design and work. So I'll have these just rough sketches of like what I think the characters will look like. And then as we talk through it, figure out how I want to lay out, a whole page of that.
Yeah.
So sketches ended up staying. There was another one I did of Rosalind being, I'm going to be able to lasso it now. There she is. Oh, my mouse is just being stupid.
Oh.
Yeah, so just being cute, but it didn't quite fit for the posing and the placement that I had. But you're going to get that same idea of her brushing her hair away while she's kind of holding up the necklace.
Yeah. And that
So.
could be very much like when he calls them back in that like second part of the scene, and that she's got that kind of a little bit more like bashful. Did you want something?
Yep. His blank face is cracking me up. You're not supposed to laugh at the things that you make, but sometimes.
Yes, you are. I feel like if you're not laughing, why would anyone else?
Yep.
You gotta love your shit.
Also, I realized from this scene to this scene, one of them has coffee and one of them doesn't, and then it flops. So I will have to figure out where the props are actually going.
I feel like if you took a hard look at Hallmark movie continuity,
they're not bothered.
Yeah. They're not worried about it.
No. Oh, this was so much fun. Yeah.
Yes. I love this.
Oh, this was a perfect holiday scene. I'm here for all of it. This one I will probably go way too hard on because I'm just delighted by it. So.
Yeah, it's so cute and it's so wholesome. Wholesome.
Wholesome. The most wholesome.
I think that's our cue. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next month with something less wholesome.
Yeah.
That's a promise.
It'll be a surprise for us too.
Yay!
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.